Hey guys, I've been painting at the Museum of Illusions. Perfect time to talk to you about brain science. She blinded me with science. Free your mind.
We think in pictures. I'll prove it. Whatever you do, don't think of an elephant. Did you see a picture of one appear in your mind? Of course, everyone does. Our brain can't help but show you pictures. Now think of a flower. Your mind has many choices stored in your memory to show you. It will pick one you've seen before, or it will construct a picture of a unique one based on the collected data and imagination. But how does your brain form these pictures? Our brain is encased inside our skull. So how can we see light? Our eyes are the gates through which our bodies collect photonic data. The rods and cones of the retinas register when a photon of light is present, and the data is then converted to an electrical signal and sent to the back of the brain through the optic nerve. Our brain then collects and processes the signals and puts them together like a puzzle. Then it shows us a picture of what it thinks is going on, based on the data collected. However, the brain is easily tricked, as can be experienced when looking at the exhibits in the Museum of Illusions. There are pictures, sculptures, and entire rooms that play with mirrors, patterns, and colors that present the brain with signals it can't make sense of. So, the brain does its best to fill in the data gaps or data overloads as best it can, which makes for bizarre experiences. You will see dots appear and disappear. You will see three-dimensional objects where only a flat picture is displayed, and you will see static patterns move around. These phenomena occur because our brain is programmed to build us a three-dimensional picture of our surroundings based on electrical signals it receives from our senses. Here's the really cool thing.
Right now, our brain is programmed to show us only 3 dimensions, and I'll prove it with this thought exercise, okay? So check this out. Let's start with 0 dimensions, a point or a dot. In order to get 1 dimension with length, we needed to have 2 dots or 2 zero-dimensional objects constraining or capping a 1-dimensional object. Okay, so we have 2 zero-dimensional objects capping 1-dimensional object. All right, now to get a 2-dimensional object, the square, we need to take that 1-dimensional object and multiply it into 4. So now we have 4 1-dimensional objects constraining or defining the space of a 2-dimensional object, the square. Now we have length and height, or length and width. In order to get a 3-dimensional object, we need to take that 2-dimensional object, the square, and multiply it into 6, and now we have 6 sides defining or constraining or capping a 3-dimensional space with length, width, and height. So we have 6 sides of a square that makes a cube. all of these are very easy to picture. Now, so we went from 0 dimensions to 3 by going, defining the space by 2, 4, and 6. So in order to define a 4th dimensional space, we need to have 8 sides, but each side is now a 3-dimensional object. What's your brain doing right now? It's kind of breaking. It doesn't know what to do with that. So our brain can't really show us what a 4th dimensional object looks like because it's been programmed only to function in the 3rd dimension and help us navigate the 3rd dimensional world. So let's go even higher. So in order to define a 5th dimensional object, we need 10 4th dimensional objects constraining or defining the space of a 5th dimensional object. And 12 5-dimensional objects defining the space of a 6-dimensional object. Our brains just break. They can't do it. So I hope this proves that we can think and see in 0 dimensions up to 3 dimensions. But once we get past that, our brain is not programmed to show us those things. How cool is that? Does this mean that other dimensions don't exist? Or is it just that our brains won't show them to us, limiting or putting a cap on our experience because of its programming? And if that's the case, can we break the software program and rewrite it to see in those higher dimensions? Or can we bypass the physical brain and somehow think beyond its limitations? Or are there other processors we could use in our body to see or experience higher dimensions? So have I convinced you that our brain receives information or data and then compiles, processes, and shows you a picture of what it thinks you're looking at or thinking about? Great. So now let's turn to how the brain actually shows you the pictures. It turns out that our synapses, the things that pass electrical signals through the brain, fire in clusters at the same time. These clusters make up geometric shapes in physical space, so a cluster of synapses can fire in a tetrahedron, or a cube, or a dodecahedron, etc. An article for ScienceAlert.com from April 21st, 2018 talks about how the brain constructs the world around us for us to navigate and experience our reality.
The human brain can create structures in up to 11 dimensions by Signe Dean. Ran Levi, one of the team members from Aberdeen University in Scotland, explains, "It is as if the brain reacts to a stimulus by building and then raising a tower of multi-dimensional blocks, starting with rods, then planks, then cubes, and then more complex geometries with 4D, 5D, etc. The progression of activity through the brain resembles a multi-dimensional sandcastle that materializes out of the sand and then disintegrates."
Every time the brain builds the picture of the world for you based on the collected data from the senses, it can be thought of like a still frame in a movie. These frames are built and destroyed at a rate of 200 to 400 times per second. For reference, a movie is shot around 30 frames per second, so our brain can work about 1,300% faster. Okay, so our brains are building the world, snapping a picture, tearing it down, building it again, snapping another picture, tearing it down, 400 times per second. So when we move our hand from left to right in 1 second, our brain just showed us 400 pictures in succession, giving you the illusion of movement. This also gives us our sense of time, because our brains can show us a picture of our hand from the first frame, which gives us the sense of the past, which was 400 frames ago. So you know how they say time is a construct? Ha! Our brains actually construct it. Cool, right? We now understand that the brain receives and processes electrical signals and then constructs the pictures it shows us of our 3D world so we can have this experience. But when we say the brain shows us, who's the us? Who or what are we? Hey guys, thanks for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit. I had a lot of fun putting this video together. If you'd like more of this content, go to get2freedom.com. That's get2freedom.com for money, body, and spiritual freedom. Don't just dream of freedom, get to freedom. I'll see you next time.